Vince Gill is the unmistakable voice behind Go Rest High on That Mountain, a timeless ballad that has brought comfort to countless hearts in moments of grief. With an astounding 22 Grammy Awards to his name and a place secured among the most celebrated figures in country music, Gill has built a career on authenticity, humility, and genuine emotion. Yet behind the accolades lies a deeply personal journey, one marked by private struggles, heartbreaking losses, bold choices, and revelations that have added unexpected layers to his life story. What he has recently shared pulls back the curtain even further, revealing the quiet strength and unwavering devotion that have defined not only his music, but also his life. In 1968, Vince Gill was an 11-year-old boy living a happy, uncomplicated life in Norman, Oklahoma. His days revolved around school, family dinners, and the joy of strumming simple melodies on his small 4-string tenor guitar. His father, J. Stanley Gill, a respected federal judge and a gifted amateur musician, often played alongside him, nurturing his son's budding love for music. Life was steady and secure in their close-knit family, until one phone call shattered that stability forever. The news was devastating. Vince's older half-brother, Bob Cohen, had been in a terrible car accident. His injuries were severe, and he quickly slipped into a coma that lasted for 3 long, agonizing months. For Vince, who had always admired his brother's energy, humor, and free spirit, visiting the hospital became an ordeal filled with fear and uncertainty. When Bob finally awoke, the reality was heartbreaking. The crash had caused irreversible brain damage. He could no longer speak, care for himself, or engage with the world in any meaningful way. The brother who once ran through open fields with Vince, teasing and laughing, was gone, replaced by a man trapped in a body that could no longer express the person he had been. For young Vince, it was more than just a personal loss, it tore through the very fabric of his family. Watching his parents, especially his mother, grieve for a son who was physically alive but emotionally and mentally absent left deep and lasting scars. Bob remained in that condition for the next 25 years before passing away in 1993, by which time Vince had already achieved musical fame. That same year, he released Let There Be Peace on Earth, a Christmas album imbued with raw emotion. One track in particular, It Won't Be the Same This Year, was a direct expression of his grief, capturing the painful reality of losing someone long before they were physically gone. Reflecting on that time, Vince has often said, "Every time I sing that song, I see that 11-year-old boy again." That tragedy didn't just leave a mark on his childhood. It shaped the man he became, adding depth and tenderness to his voice and authenticity to his songwriting that no level of fame could ever manufacture. By the late 1980s, Vince Gill was well known among Nashville's recording studios, though still short of true stardom. He had played guitar and sung harmonies with Pure Prairie League, even taking on the role of lead singer for a time, but his solo career lacked clear direction. Under RCA Records, he released The Things That Matter and The Way Back Home, both critically appreciated yet commercially underwhelming. Fellow musicians admired his guitar mastery and critics praised his voice, but in a city that worshipped chart-topping hits, Gill risked becoming just another almost famous story. Then came the kind of phone call most musicians only dream about. Mark Knopfler, the legendary frontman of Dire Straits, invited Vince to join the band. At the time, Dire Straits was one of the most successful rock groups in the world, still riding high from the global success of Brothers in Arms and selling out stadiums in hours. Knopfler had long admired Gill's smooth guitar phrasing and the sincerity in his vocals. This wasn't a short-term session gig, it was an offer to become a full-time member. For most, it would have been an immediate yes, a golden ticket to worldwide fame and fortune. But Vince hesitated and ultimately turned it down. "It wasn't that I didn't love what they did," he later explained. "I did, but I knew that once I went down that road, I wouldn't come back. I wouldn't be me anymore. I wanted to tell my stories. I hadn't done that yet." It was a bold move, a career gamble, and in many ways a deeply personal one. There were lean months afterward when he questioned his choice. The Dire Straits paycheck would have made life easier, and the fame would have opened countless doors. Instead, he toured in cramped buses, played small venues, and often opened for bigger names. Then, in a twist of poetic justice, he released When I Call Your Name. The title track, haunting ballad that showcased his gift for restraint and emotional honesty, earned him his first Grammy Award and firmly placed him in the country music spotlight. His gamble had paid off, not because he followed the fastest path to fame, but because he stayed true to his own voice. Looking back, he summed it up simply, "I'd rather be me at a small club than someone else in a sold-out arena." Vince Gill's journey in love began with high hopes and a shared passion for music. In 1980, he married country singer Janice Oliver, one half of the talented sister duo Sweethearts of the Rodeo. The two met in Los Angeles, where both were chasing their musical dreams. They quickly bonded over long nights spent playing guitar, writing songs, and swapping stories about the road. At first, life seemed like a country ballad with a happy ending. Vince was building a reputation as a reliable session guitarist and harmony singer, while Janice's career was beginning to blossom. But as their ambitions grew, so did the demands on their time. By the late 1980s, Gill's career was accelerating, requiring him to spend months on the road. Janice, meanwhile, was chasing her own musical success, and their paths rarely crossed for long. Behind the scenes, the long separations began to take a toll. There were arguments, missed anniversaries, and the painful reality that love alone sometimes can't bridge the gap between two people living in different worlds. The couple did their best to shield their young daughter, Jenny, from the strain, but by 1997, after 17 years of marriage, they divorced. It was a painful and humbling period for Gill. Divorce was something he had never imagined for himself, and the idea of breaking apart a family weighed heavily on his heart. Yet life, as it often does, had an unexpected chapter waiting for him. That chapter began in the mid-1990s, when he first crossed paths with Amy Grant, the queen of Christian pop, known for hits like Baby Baby and Every Heartbeat. The two met while performing together for a Christmas television special. At the time, both were married to other people, Amy to Christian musician Gary Chapman, and they kept their interactions professional. Still, there was an undeniable connection, a shared warmth and humor that made their brief conversations linger in Vince's memory. Over the years, their paths continued to intersect at charity events, award shows, and collaborative performances. They exchanged kind words, sometimes a laugh, but never anything beyond friendship. That is, until both of their marriages ended within a few years of each other. By 1999, Vince and Amy began spending more time together, and their connection deepened into something unmistakable. They shared similar values, a love for music, and a grounded approach to fame. Vince admired Amy's grace and faith, while she was drawn to his humility and generosity of spirit. "He made me laugh when I didn't feel like laughing," Amy later recalled. Their courtship was gentle and deliberate. No tabloid spectacle, no rush to prove anything to the world. They quietly built a foundation rooted in friendship and trust. On March 10, 2000, Vince Gill and Amy Grant married in a simple, heartfelt ceremony in Nashville, surrounded by close friends and family. The marriage blended not just two lives, but two families. Vince became a stepfather to Amy's 3 children from her first marriage, while Amy embraced his daughter, Jenny, as her own. The couple later welcomed their only child together, Karina, in 2001. Life at home for the Gills was far from the stereotypical celebrity whirlwind. They prioritized family dinners, school events, and supporting one another's careers without letting them overshadow their personal life. Vince often said that marrying Amy wasn't just about finding a partner, it was about finally finding home. Even after 2 decades together, their affection has remained strong. Whether they're performing on stage, sharing a laugh in an interview, or attending church as a family, Vince and Amy radiate the quiet joy of two people who not only love each other, but also truly like each other. In a world where fame often burns fast and bright before fading, theirs has been a love that grew stronger with time.